cultural heritage.
Hello and welcome to Darshan America. I'm Dinesh Verma, filling in for Ramesh, who's on vacation this week.
And I'm Aastha Verma. Dinesh, it's great to have you back on the show because I know every time we get together, we always chit-chat and have some fun.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know, just to start off, what are your thoughts on the whole Obama controversy? I know you know which one I'm talking about. You know, these are the comments that he made about the mosque. This is the mosque that people are trying to build in and around the 9/11 area. And of course, that's a very sensitive area of New York. People have begun to see it as a holy site. I went there several years ago, and you would see crosses, and you would see other things at that location because people go there to grieve. And the idea of a mosque being erected just within blocks of that site really has people upset. And there's protests. People are upset with President Obama in particular because he didn't come out and say, no, this is not right. In fact, what he said was, well, we have a right in this country to exercise our religious freedom, and if that means erecting a mosque at this location, then so be it. In a way, I guess people interpreted that to be condoning this erection of the mosque there.
Yeah, and he actually came back out later and clarified and said, I'm not endorsing the idea necessarily, but what I am saying is that we in the United States have a fundamental right to practice whatever religion we choose. And if that means that these individuals who want to build that mosque there can worship in that manner, they should be free to build a mosque in that area. Now, he's also saying he doesn't make a comment as to the wisdom of putting a mosque in that area.
I know, but it's a fine line. I am a big supporter of President Obama. This is not a secret on the show if you have watched before. But I'm a little bit disappointed, not in his comments per se, but in his inability to connect with Americans right now. I think people have not gotten over 9/11. Even though we have had almost a decade to get over it, we have not. And people are sore. And when you go to New York, you still feel that pain in people who live in that city. Ideologically, President Obama is on the right side of this equation. He's making an ideological point. But there is little capacity in the country right now, I think, to entertain that ideological argument. People are still emotional, and they react emotionally. He's not capturing that emotion in his voice and in his demeanor, and I think it's going to hurt him, not just him come the next election cycle, but it's going to hurt the Democrats.
You know, I don't think it's just a 9/11 issue, Aastha. I believe that this is also what I term the curse of the Democrat, which is trying to be everything to everybody all the time. And my gosh, look at this.
You are so right about that.
Look at this. We have the Democratic president in the White House. We have a Democratic Congress, yet we can't get anything done.
You know, and what it is, I think, in part, is that the Democrats are not unified. Even though they have the majority, they are not unified. I mean, you had Harry Reid just come out and say that he was not in favor of the comments that President Obama made. He's not in favor of this mosque being put up at this site. And so, again, you have a rift on the Democratic side of the House.
Well, see, I'm no Harry Reid fan. I believe you can't find a more boring speaker in American politics than Harry Reid. And I just, for the life of me, cannot understand why he is the leader of the Senate. But, you know, they really need to get beyond this problem because even the Republicans who were beaten severely in the last election have come back together as a base, and they've uniformly opposed things that they want to take a stand on. You have a few that have crossed the line. You know, I think Olympia Snowe of Maine tends to kind of lean Democrat on some issues, but for the most part, they've stayed uniform, and they've stayed uniform to their message.
I agree, and I think what's happening is that the Republicans, the only thing they're suffering from right now is that they don't have a leader, someone who's capable of really being the forefront speaker of the party. As soon as they do, I think the Democrats are in trouble. President Obama won this election largely because of the independents who decided to go in his direction. But those independents are flaky in that they will change their opinion based on how they're feeling about certain key issues. They're not loyal to one party or the other. If he loses that independent constituency, I think the Democrats are in real trouble.
Yeah, and you know, there is a rift within the Republican Party. I guess it's the Palin camp, and you've got these other people coming back out of the woodwork like Gingrich, who are around the country trying to support, pick and choose candidates and boost them up. And we saw that in Georgia with the governor's race, I guess it is,
right.
recently. And you've also seen Palin come in and endorse a gubernatorial candidate in Maryland out of the blue, a Republican guy who was basically a no-name. Sarah Palin comes in and says, hey, you know, I'm behind you, and all of a sudden this guy's in the limelight.
Well, the Tea Party movement is also a threat to the Democrats, in part because they're picking up these independents, the ones that really don't know where to go. As polarizing as the Tea Party is, and I'm certainly not a Sarah Palin fan, she has an ability to connect with people. And right now what's happening is she's connecting to them, and President Obama is not connecting with them. And I think he has to do something about it.
Well, continuing this whole Democrat-Republican theme, I saw an article recently in Foreign Policy magazine about Defense Secretary Robert Gates, who announced this week that he would be stepping down from his post next year in 2011. And Gates is a very interesting guy because he's a holdover from the Bush administration. And when Obama was elected, he actually asked Robert Gates, sat down, had a conversation with him, and engaged his interest in continuing as Secretary of Defense. And to everyone's surprise, Gates has become one of Obama's most trusted advisors. In fact, he's one of 3 cabinet members that gets to meet Obama on a weekly basis and share his views, not just about defense issues, but occasionally as to other issues as well that go outside of his normal range of expertise. And he's also taken on the establishment in Washington, trying to change the way the Pentagon does business in terms of how it awards contracts and the definition of overhead and how these companies get to slip in a lot of extra charges to the government that way. He's also made some